What is up, YouTube? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How's it going, my friends? Good to see you guys here. It has been quite a while since I've been back in the virtual cockpit here, guys. I've been super busy. I do apologize. I mean, you know how it is around holiday time. We got Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, birthdays, all kinds of stuff. Combine that with a new baby, and life is just crazy right now. So I do apologize for being a little bit hidden here recently, but have no doubts. I have been doing some work behind the scenes, especially with regards to the Toliss 321. I've been collecting some 321 performance data and kind of working that into the Toliss, testing it, seeing how it reacts to real aircraft data and things like that. So you may not be seeing me on the stream, but I am still active behind the scenes, so I do apologize. But we are here, guys. How's it going? I am Dimitri in the house, Dougal in the house, VincentCrump. How's it going, my friend? Barak Uslu, how's it going? Good to see you here. Daniel Smith, good evening. Good evening, good evening. OnePlus is back. You have been gone for quite a while, my friend. Good to see you here as well. ND Beacon, hey V1, crazy busy, fall semester ended, and now my time is your time. ND Beacon, good to see you, my man. Glad you're here. Today's going to be a fun little flight. We're doing a recreation of a situation that happened to me just on my last trip with an engine generator that was offline and a couple things we had to do. I thought it would be fun to kind of recreate that here. Ricky Castrigano? Ricky? Nice. Thanks for the subscribe there, my friend. Good to see you here. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Glad you're enjoying the content. Looks like you just closed up the aft cargo door there. So, all right. Let's go ahead and kind of get things back set up here. We're in the lovely Toliss 319. We're sitting in United. Guys, I don't know what's going on between YouTube updating everything and Streamlabs updating everything and X-Plane updating. My people are back on the roof here in Denver. So, I do apologize for that. Oh. We can hear the cargo door shutting there. Oh, beautiful. You hear that high-pitched whine? That's the electric hydraulic pump. It should go off here in a second. Well, come on now. No? All right. All right, let's hop inside, guys. Let's get this show on the road here. We're sitting here in a medium cold and dark airplane. I say that because, oh, there goes the pump. I've got the ADIRs in the align position, and I just have us on ground power, so I don't really have anything going on. You'll find this configuration, like I said, a couple times when you're, having a crew swap, and maybe the airplane's going to sit for an hour or two before the next crew comes on board. We do have ground air set up, low pressure air. That is to keep the cabin warm here without the APU. So hopefully they have the ground air hooked up. It's not modeled, but you would see a yellow hose running out to the airplane. One of those big fat yellow hoses that comes off the gate. Looks like we're sitting next to, what is that, a 777? Excellent. See the size difference there for sure. But, oh, hold on. I have my, got a thing here with YouTube. It's double showing me something, so I'm trying to shut that off. Man, between the YouTube updates and the Streamlabs updates, guys, I hope this stream can get off to a normal start. So I do have the fault scenarios. We have our normal anything random can happen. Hopefully we don't have any serious stuff happen today. But I do have the left engine generator is inoperable. So we picked up an aircraft the other day. Of course, it was go home leg, go home day, and go home leg, where the engine 1 generator decided to go offline. So I'll tell the full story of what happened once we get airborne, but right now let's go ahead and finish our preliminary cockpit prep. So we come into the airplane here, everything looks good. On the gear is down, these are off, that's in normal. Let's come straight to the overhead. We'll start with our captain flow here. We'll go up the captain left hand side of the panel. Crew supply is already on. This fault light is good. Let's get our ground control push button on. Looks like our ADIRs are in the align phase. We'll leave the fuel pumps off for now. We're looking for 25.6 volts, which we do. We have 28, as we're charging, coincidentally, here with external power. So what happens if you come to an airplane and you don't have the proper voltage, what we do is we just hook up the external power, we shut the battery switches off just like we saw, and it will charge them up to 28 volts, and then we have enough battery power. So we have to have at least 25.6 volts without the ground power connected to be considered go for flight. If it's 25.5 volts or less, we're going to have to do a battery charge, which is just what I showed you there. You just hook up the ground power, turn the battery switches off, and you're good to go. Everything else looks good. Let's warm up the cabin, even though this does not apply right now because we don't have any APU on, but for when it does come on, we've got that set. Seatbelts are off for now. We'll come back over here and check that out. Let's go ahead and turn on the third RMP. This is out and halfway. Everything else looks good here. Moving down, let me see where my bindings are. Bear with me here for 1 second. I'm trying to remember. Okay. I thought I had a binding. That's close enough. All right, then we check our fluids. Our hydraulics look good. What do we got for our engine? When we check for engine oil and you come to this page and you see X's, what we have to do is we have to wake up the FADEC. So we just move this to ignition start and then just move it right back to normal. And it should populate that. Let's see what happens. Did not. There it goes. Interesting. Okay, normally when you power it up like that, this will stay illuminated for I forget how long, and then it goes back off. But we can see our oil quantity, 11.9 quarts. It's actually pretty low, but we are good to go. So we'll turn that back off. Everything else looks good here. We did our walk around. Brake is set. Now we can come back down to the cockpit. Francisco, hello from Chile. How's it going, my friend? A boss says, wow, looks like Pennywise took the passengers. I know, man. It's kind of creepy. This is the Excoders Denver. I really love this airport, guys. I just have to figure out how to get my people down. You know, it does come with winter textures, which is nice because it's snowing right now. But, of course, X-Plane doesn't have winter textures out here on the ortho photo. So it looks a little bit weird, but we're going to be up above the clouds anyway. So I thought I would leave the snow textures on for this flight. But I mean, the terminals are really well done. You have all the, the seats and the departure. I mean, look at this departure board up there. That's pretty cool. So this airport is really well done. It's actually not bad on frames at all. Terminal C. We'll come down here. This is the tunnel. Oh, my dog just broke in. So I'm pretty sure this in real life would take you, you get in a tunnel and you go underground all the way to the other terminals. So if you guys have been to Denver, you know what I'm talking about. That's the southwest side. But overall, it's a beautiful airport. All right, enough yabbering. Dimitri says Excoders is a fix out on the forum. I'll send you a link on Discord. All right, sweet. Appreciate it. All right, I am connected to Pilot Edge. So let's go ahead and connect. I don't know where. I think we're United 315 today. S. Vati just sponsored the channel. How's it going, Private Pilot? Thank you, sir. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Welcome to the V1 Simulations community. All my members in chat there. Let's go ahead and get some positive rates out there for a new member. A couple of positive rates out there. Thank you, my friend. If you are unaware, make sure you sync your Discord to your YouTube account. You get the V1 After Dark channel on Discord, which I know I haven't been very active in right now. But normally I am a little bit more active in there. And then there is also some members-only content that is out on my channel as well. So make sure you check out those things. I think we're United 315. Now we are United, UAL, UAL. We are connected to Pilot Edge. So let's go ahead and listen to the ATIS. Get our ATIS. We won't have Pilot Edge all the way to Dallas, but we'll have it most of the way, which is totally fine with me. Departure ATIS 3402. Part of me doesn't even want to go on Pilot Edge, but we'll do it anyway.
Edge in use. Multiple
What?
approaches in use. VFR departures, contact, clearance, delivery, advise on course heading, altitude, and in-flight following is requested.
The Pilot Edge audio is coming through my speakers. Oh boy. How can I fix that? Give me a second, guys. Between Windows updating, my goodness. Alright. And sound settings. Manage sound devices. I don't know why anything is coming out of my speakers. Alright, well, we're not going to do the Pilot Edge then. I don't know why that's coming through my loudspeakers, so I'm not going to deal with that right now. Let's just get this show on the road. We're going to be united. I don't need practice on the radio anyway. We're going to be united. Oops. Hit something there. United 315. You know, I've been finding it's a little bit easier to do it in here. We're going to go cost index of 99. So our cruise altitude, guys, we're going to have to be a little bit lower. So our restriction for having one generator offline, we're going to have the APU running the entire flight. So we have an APU limitation, which means we're not going to be able to be above 31,000 feet. So we're going to file ourselves at 29, and then we'll see if we can go up to 31 if necessary, but let's stay with 29 initially and see what happens. We're going to go ahead and depart Denver 35 left. Actually, let's do this. Go up here. Bring this back around here. Pull this up. Put you in plan mode so we can see what's happening. Alright, there we go. What are we going to do? The Staker 4. PQRS T. Staker 4? And I guess we don't have a transition in the box there. Insert that. That should take us all the way out to Piper. Beautiful. After Piper, we're going direct to Bravo Golf Delta, which is 286 miles. We want the close one. And then from BGD, we're going to go MDono. MD Dougal says, I learned more without ATC. Yeah, you know, honestly, I love doing the ATC thing when we're just, there's not much to talk about or anything like that. But for me, this channel is about, you know, I want to be able to communicate with you guys in the chat, and I want to be able to go on a tangent and talk about systems and stuff and not have to worry about missing a call on the radio and looking like an idiot. So I'm totally fine skipping out on the ATC if you guys are. We're going to fly the exact same route that we would if we were flying it with ATC, except now I just don't have to talk to anybody else. So I'm going to put in, unfortunately, let's see. Yeah, this star doesn't connect. So Dallas right now, according to SimBrief, we're landing north right now. Winds are 330 at 15. So yeah, we're going to have to land northbound. And United is on the east side, so I'm going to put us on 35 center for the ILS. Now, another limitation that is part of, I don't think we can do Victory 2. No, we can't. Great. We're going to MDono, and then we'll go from there. We'll change that in route. Straight to days. Let's see. MDono, days. Yeah, we need a different star, actually. Let's go here. Arrival. Next page. We need a south flow arrival into Dallas. But what I was saying is the limitation for having a generator offline is we cannot do Cat 2 or Cat 3 approaches either. So it makes for a little bit more interesting flying, because you have to go in good weather essentially. Alright, let's pull up some Dallas arrivals. I think we can do the Seavert. Nope, that's from the east side. Give me a second, I'm looking at all the arrivals. Dallas is about 400 arrivals. Nope, can't do that. Can't do that one. There's the one I want. Jovem 4. That's the arrival we want. Jovem 4. Look, see, I didn't even have to call ATC to figure out what arrival I would need. I don't want to do it versus Rama. I want to do it off of MDono. Insert that. Alright, so now let's take a look at this route. Here we go. So we're going off the Staker 4 RNAV all the way out. I should have constraint mode on. Addyn, Piper, M. Dono. There's our transition all the way back down the Jovem 4. Beautiful. To the 3.5 center ILS. Hopefully it'll be Cat 1. The weather is pretty crappy here in Dallas today, so I kind of want to do this flight, just fly into it. Not terrible, but it was pretty cold and overcast earlier. So we got our flight plan in there. Nothing to put in the secondary. I will say, I think I told you guys in the last stream, the 321 does have secondary flight plan, and their FMGC so far, I mean, I know it's still early testing phase. I don't know what else I can say about it, but the box works much smoother and snappier. It just feels right, feels a little bit more right than their 319, so that'll be a good update. All right, so I've already loaded the aircraft. We're going to go 29.4 on the CG, and our zero fuel is 58.7. Boom, block fuel 8.0, because we have to. Ooh, we do need to put in our alternate of Houston. Alternate is Houston. There we go. Let's take a look at our fuel. 28 minutes extra gas. Perfect. That seems about right. All right, perf data. We're going to go 1 plus F on 3.5 left. 150. 150. 153. What we got for flex temp this morning is 51 degrees. And a flaps 1 takeoff. Beautiful. Christian Roseness says, hi from Norway. Are you excited about the upcoming release of the Toliss A21? Absolutely, man. I am very excited for that. I haven't, you know, as the aircraft progresses through the testing phase, I will be, you know, I'll ask Toliss if I can get some permission to maybe do a stream at some point. I think that'd be really cool for you guys to see it. It's a fun little bird to fly, so I am super excited for it. I think Toliss is doing a great job so far, and as it gets closer to its release, it'll be pretty darn sweet. All right, let's go ahead and get our APU fired up here. Went for a flap open message, so let's get into our INOP system. I'm going to read you guys the same exact MEL. Now, what an MEL stands for is minimum equipment list. And basically what happens is when a piece of equipment breaks on our airplane, we have to defer it according to the minimum equipment list. Now, some items cannot be deferred. They are must-go items. Some items, let's go ahead and listen to this. Some items have specific procedures that require you to check during each flight, or we call those operational restrictions, and this is one of those MELs. So the MEL for engine 1 generator, operational restriction, effective for an A319, A320. It's got all the tail numbers in there that this is required. So there's 2 installed on the aircraft. There's only 1 required. So that means we can dispatch with 1 generator offline. But in order to do this, the APU generator must operate normally and is used throughout the flight. The operator ensures that the APU oil quantity is adequate for the attended flight. All buses can be powered. All indications and warning associated with the engine APU generator, blah, 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 is normal. Galley shedding is operating normally. Aircraft remains below 330. Fuel recirculation system associated with the IDG is operative. And approach minimums are downgraded to Cat 1. Then it tells you what we need for documentation of paperwork, and then it tells us what our operational procedure is. So the operational procedure, this is where it gets fun. On ground with the aircraft power supplied from the APU or external power, we must do a galley and cabin check, and I'm going to show you guys that here momentarily, and we're going to go through the generator off push button stuff. So let's go ahead and finish our flow. We're going to get back to that MEL. Fuel pumps are on. We can go ahead and disconnect. Now, the aircraft will have, this will be off. This is generator 1 off, and we'll have a little orange sticker right here that says INOP. So generator 1 is off. Let's go ahead and disconnect the external power and the low pressure air. Do the rest of our overhead flow. That's all good. Let's come on, auto, arm that. come down here. We're going to squawk 2000 transponder into TA mode.
Donation.
Sony Boy 94 donated $1. Comes in, he says, time to double my lead this month on Streamlabs. Sony Boy, thank you so much for your support of the channel, my friend. Glad to have you here. Glad you're enjoying the content. Thank you so much for that, man. Really appreciate it. Alright, we get a little... Everyone's getting seated. That's a beautiful shot right there with the sun peeking up. Looks like the snowstorm has moved off the field now, turning into a beautiful day. Alright, nav out, discrepancy, and all that stuff. So, I should probably do some more flow here instead of just talking. What do we got for weather? It is 30-15 outside. Oh yeah, that's way off. 30-15, 1, 2, and... What's that in HG? 1021? Boom. 1021 set. INOP systems, generator 1. We'll clear that. Let's go ahead and talk to ground after I get the altitude set up here. We're going to go 10,000 feet. Everything else looks good there. Constraint mode. Ground, pushback. Pre-plan. We're going off at 3.5, so we're going to go... Typically, they'll push you straight back, and then we make a turnout. So we'll go straight back.
Round to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
All right, got that set up there. All right, everything else looks good there, and do our overhead flow one more time. Coming to the top, Captain Geo, coming in private, a pilot. Thank you so much, Captain Geo, for becoming a sponsor of the channel, my friend. Back to member I go. Excellent. Let's get some more positive rates out there for Captain Geo. Captain Geo, you know the routine, my friend. Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and becoming a sponsor, man. Good to have you here. Glad to have you here. Definitely. All right. Let's go ahead and that looks good. It's on and auto. Oh, sorry guys, I got distracted there. Everything else looks good. Release that and call the pushback truck.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
All right, we do our checklist. Doors and windows closed and armed. On auto. Everything else looks good. All right, so let's talk about this as we get the pushback truck in here. I'm going to pull up the electrical page. So what we have to do after engine start, we're going to do a couple things. We need to make sure that our AC buses are powered by all the available generators that we have. Generator 1 is not operable, so we have to make sure everything can be transferred. So after we start with engines running and the APU running, generator 1 off. We know generator 1 is off. What we do next is we're actually going to turn generator 2 off. When we turn generator 2 off, that's going to look very similar to this page right here. This will say off.
Hatches are closed, ready to connect.
And then the APU gen will power both AC systems, which it is doing right now. But then we got to check the reversion to the generator. So then what we got to do is turn the operative generator, Gen 2, back on. Then we're going to shut the APU generator off. When we shut the APU generator off, this is going to switch. This generator is going to power AC2 and AC1. Then we got to check on the eCam electric page that all AC buses are supplied. So essentially we're checking the reversion of the electrical logic. So this will be a good test to see how Toliss has this modeled as well. Now, is there galley shedding on this aircraft? There is galley shedding. So what we would do...
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Brakes released, clear to push straight back. Oops, forgot the beacon.
And you may start engines.
Yeah, let's get the bleed online because it's probably getting cold in here. So with galley shedding, what we would do is we'd actually have to test one more thing. We would come over here and we'd pull the circuit breaker, which was... Where is it? It's... I think it was... It'll tell me. 24. Circuit breaker S24. LMNOP. Gotta find the circuit breaker here. Oh, I guess this is not the same type. Oh, there we go. It's up here. S. Here's S. Come over to 24. Ah, there it is. So in real life, what we would also do is we would have to pull this circuit breaker, Galleon cabin ground flight logic. And essentially what we do when we pull that, we want to make sure that the galley will shed properly from the AC electrical system. So essentially if it begins to overload, the galleys will lose power first. That way we can maintain power to the aircraft systems as best as possible. So we would check that on the ground as well, but we're not going to do that because we obviously don't have circuit breaker simulation modeled here. So let's go ahead and crank engine 1. Engine 1's come to start. We got bleed pressure. Starting engine 1. Let's do it. Callie Banks says, good morning, Captain. Can you tell me what the in-flight movie is for this flight? Yes, we are going to be watching Denzel Washington's Flight for today's movie. It's always a good one to watch. Oh yeah, that engine sound, man. Man, it's actually turning into a really beautiful day here with the sun starting to come through the clouds.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Brake set, clear disconnect. Thanks for smooth push.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Electric generator 1 fault as associated. Clear electric. Clear status. And we're going to go ahead and fire up both engines. They need 5 minutes on the warm-up. The aircraft was sitting for quite a while, so we'll fire up both engines. If I can get to the right engine. There we go. Dimitri, you said that's John Fly's voice in Bitter Pushback? There's one... I have a very old version of Better Pushback. I think the new one has different voice acting, which I think is pretty terrible. It's non-standard. So voice communications are actually pretty standardized across the board. Now you'll go to some ground crew or some airports where the ground crew is non-standard. They say, yeah, you can do this, or whatever. But typically it's ground to flight deck, ready to push.
And bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the left. We'll see you next time. Have a safe flight.
All right, thanks for the smooth push, my friend. We'll see you next time. Or like how this guy has it. The sound in this version of Better Pushback is very professional, and that's how it sounds in the real airplane. You don't have, you're clear to light them up, or whatever it is the guy says in the other version. So I can't stand that. All right, flaps are 1 plus F. Now, we can turn the APU bleed off, but let's go ahead and do our checks. Kelly Banks says, okay, in that case, let me get some vodka and orange juice. I'll be in the cabin in a minute. All right, excellent. All right, guys, so let's check our generator status. So I'm going to come to the overhead here, and we're going to watch this from up here. First thing we need to do, generator 1 off. It is off. Generator 2 off. So if we lose generator 2 in flight, boom, APU picks up the load. AC bus 1 and AC bus 2. Check on ECAM that all electric AC buses are supplied. They are. All right, generator 2 back on. Now we're going to go ahead and turn APU generator off. So the APU generator is... Where are you? There it is. APU generator off. And check that out. All AC buses are supplied by the engine generator 2. All right, we'll go ahead and turn APU gen back on. So now we've successfully tested all the reversion should we have another failure. If Gen 2 fails, we know the APU can pick up both loads. If the APU fails, we know the generator 2 is working properly and can pick up the loads. So our generator system is working. We're going to leave Gen 1 offline. We're going to leave the APU running. We're going to turn the bleed off because we are going to be going higher than APU bleed allows, but lower than maximum APU operational altitude. So there's a lot to keep in mind there. So that looks good. We'll go ahead and clear that page. Clear electric. What's the condition like in the back? Everything looks beautiful. I'm going to put Put this over here, get everything set up. Alright, flaps 1, we're ready to taxi. Taxi light on, brakes released. Let's get out of here, guys. I actually really like this new United livery. That's pretty sweet. Alright, that was pretty sweet. Gaming Ninja says, how long would you fly with one INOP generator? So Gaming Ninja, you can fly with it as long as your flight is, essentially. So there is no limitation on that. There is a limitation on how long the aircraft can be dispatched with the generator offline. Now, it depends on your company and where you work and how long that can be. But for us, I believe this is a 3-day item. So essentially 3 calendar days the aircraft can go like this before it must be repaired. So like if the aircraft is in South America or something or whatever, you've got 3 days to get the aircraft somewhere where it can be repaired. Now, like I said, that can vary on operators. Some operators may want it sooner, maybe only a 1-day thing, but this one is a multi-day restriction. Oh, Dimitri says the other one that's not so professional is Castrator. Interesting. Captain Geo says, my name not in blue, when is that coming? Geo, my friend, I hear you, man. Alright, let's make, I should probably look at the taxi diagram here real quick. We came off of Bravo, we're going to 3-5 left, so we're going to go right on Mike. Yes, right turn here on Mike. Yeah, Geo, I know, right? He's like, here comes the push, light him up, Cap. Like if the ground crew said that to me, I'd say, no, parking brake set, call me back when you're ready to push. I would not go with that. That's, I mean, you may think it's funny and cute or whatnot, but there's actually a lot of accidents that can happen if you're not synced with the ground crew. A tug driver and a pushback guy is actually a very important job. I mean, they have, a lot of things can go wrong if the tug breaks or if the nose wheel steering disconnect pin shears or anything like that. I mean, if there's a confusion of when to set the brake and when not to set the brake, things can happen. So it's a serious position down there at the ground crew, and professionalism is expected, especially, at least where, in the United States. We go abroad in different countries and stuff, it's obviously a little bit different, but most of the time, you're really expecting professional response down there. Alright, let's do ahead and do our flight control check. Remember, we check each computer separately, so we do our pitch first, full up, full down, neutral. Then we check our ailerons and roll spoilers, full left, full right, neutral. We're looking for our aileron droop there. You can see that the little green arrows are down below the equal sign there, so our ailerons are drooped. And we'll go ahead and check the rudders. Full left, full right, neutral. Let's go auto brakes max, takeoff config, whether PWS can come on, TARA, cabin ready, boom. I mean, if it was snowy everywhere, like on the ortho scenery, I think that would look really cool. This is a nice little texture to have for Denver. We're going downhill, we're picking up some speed here. Let's go ahead and pull up our departure. I don't know why I downloaded almost every single ILS for Dallas. Alright, we're going to go off 3-5 left, so it's basically a climbing right turn, Keating at or above 10,000. What's top altitude? Is 230. That's set. That is sweet. Oh, stay on the center line there, Cap. I'm really liking this livery, though. It's growing on me. At first, I was like, man, it's just a recoloring of their old livery, but it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Dimitri says, in real life, would you leave the gate with this generator config or call maintenance, have it looked at? No, you would actually leave the gate with it, Dimitri. I'm doing this because I had this situation that happened to me on go home day. We actually had a generator pop offline. We had all kinds of stuff, and I'll tell you that story when I get up and cruise. So remind me, I'll tell you about the go home day woes that we had. I flew, I don't know, 4 days and not a single delay. Then the last day, it all goes to hell, man. It always does on go home day. So I'll tell you guys the story of what happened to us. But yeah, the generator tripped offline, and we had to go back to the gate initially to get it fixed. Well, not, I say fixed, but I mean deferred, and then we left with it inoperable, and then we flew 3 legs with it inoperable. So it just adds a little bit extra work to the flight crew, and of course you're limited in altitude, so if the rides are bad at 29 to 30,000 feet, there's really not much you can do, and you got to take extra fuel because you got to burn the APU the entire flight, you got to watch your fuel imbalances and things like that, so it just adds a little bit of workload to the crew. So it's not a huge deal, but you can find yourself in a situation pretty quickly if you're not prepared for it. You know, if you lose another engine, or like maybe you have an APU emergency shutdown in flight, so now you're limited to 1 generator, which that's kind of scary, because if that generator goes out, you're going to find yourself in the electrical emergency configuration. That's no fun to fly around in, with the rat hanging out and things like that. So you still have a backup, but it's still not as comforting as you leaving the gate with 3 fully operating generators. So Sony Boy, a stupid question, but do you download your charts manually? Yeah, so the charts that you see right here, these are all free charts I just get. I download them manually for each stream that I do off of SkyVector or AirNav, whatnot. But if I'm going somewhere, I'm looking at, I have my own real-world charts I'm using on my iPad right here next to me on my desk. And I just like using my own charts because I don't want to create bad habits, right? These aren't the exact format charts that we use. We still use the Jeppesen charts. So I like to just put these up for a little bit of reference for you guys. But yeah, I am using my own real-world charts, and I do that because I don't want to create bad habits and be looking at different charts all the time. All right, so here comes 3.5 left here at the end. Gaming Ninja says, what can the cause be? Sensor fault or actually some mechanical part that breaks? Probably mechanical. You know, it was the generator. What had happened? The generator tripped offline, and it did not want to pick up the load. So, what they do is they basically defer the line contactor in the open position. What that means is if you have an electrical current and you have a break in it, right, as a gap, you're not going to be able to have current go through it. So, that's called the open position, and they defer it that way so it cannot be re-engaged and create any more issues. So. Alright, brakes set, there's our pressure. Lights can come off for now. Let's just take another beautiful look at this. Man, I love the sound of this airplane. Look at that, that's interesting. Alright, let's do our before takeoff. Everything else looks good. I just want to make sure our constraints are in there. Yes, they are. Keating, up to 230. You guys ready to go? Everything else looks good. United 315, 3.5 left, RNAV Keating, cleared for takeoff. RNAV Keating, 3.5 left, cleared for takeoff, United 315. Light them up, boys. Here we go. That's your ground crew. Light them up. Let's see if I can do another cinematic turn onto the runway here. Beautiful. All right. Spool them up 50. Oh, yeah. Well, we wouldn't want to be sitting here with them spooled, but I want to do it just because it sounds good. And nose forward on the stick. Let's go. Man Flex, SRS runway, auto thrust blue. $80 knots, thrust set. Neutral by 100. V1, rotate. Wow, slow rotation, positive rate, gear up. We're nabbing. Might have to check my sensitivity settings. That seemed a little bit sluggish on the rotation there. Coming around. I mean, that looks kind of crappy with the snow there, but hey. That's a quick turn, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're doing it all right. Probably could have done a no-flex takeoff. She seems pretty sluggish at that weight. I didn't think we were that heavy, though. Well, we do have full people on board. Alright, there's a reversal on airspeed. Let's go ahead and bring the thrust levers back. Thrust climb, auto thrust. We'll look out this engine view so it doesn't have that. It's kind of weird looking out at the window and looking at my PFD and ND. I guess we don't need that one. Alright, there comes our SP. Let's go ahead and retract the flaps. Flap 0. Gosh, the sounds. My goodness. I feel like I'm on an Airbus right now. I really do. Whoa there. What's happening with our tiger tail? Are we that heavy? That VLS came right up and bit us there. We might be a little heavier than I thought we were. There's 9. So in this situation, if you guys aren't familiar, Denver is over 5,000 feet. So our 10,000 foot call out, we're actually going to make it at 15. Oh, we're in some turbulence there, that's for sure. Oh, we were supposed to level too. I screwed that up. It's alright, we were hand flying. As our altitude constraint was 10,000. I got ortho to look at instead of make these altitude constraints. Man, it's a little bit bumpy though.
Subscriber ahead.
David Kane! Thanks for the subscription, my friend. Glad you're enjoying the content. Well, turbulent departure out of Denver today. Ooh. Alright, thrust climb, climb, nav. Here we go in the right turn. Oh, listen to those engines spooling up, huh? Let's get back to the flight director. Looking good, looking good. Beautiful. All right. 10-9, that's an air show's over. Autopilot 1 is engaged. Let's get back at it. I'll catch up to some of these comments here for you guys before we hit 10,000. Let's see here. Sony by 94 thought if he was using offline charts, probably due to some company policy, prevents pilots from using company charts. Yeah, so I don't... Actually, I couldn't even really publish them if I wanted to. The apps that we use for our charts are pretty hard to get off of... You can't really get it off the iPad and Create 50. It's just too much work, so... Ran Cooley, $10 bomb super chat. Thank you, my friend. He says, when I'm a commercial member, I thought I would donate. While I'm a commercial member, I thought I would donate to show my thanks for what you do. It's pretty amazing to have a real-world commercial pilot to provide instruction for us that is very helpful. Ran Cooley, thank you so much for that, my friend. Glad you're enjoying the content. I'm glad you're tuning in, hanging out with us here today. Really appreciate your support on the channel, being a member and all that, and super chatting. Really appreciate it, man. I'm glad you guys are enthusiastic about learning and hanging out with me talking Airbus, because I love Airbus, and my wife gets tired of me talking about Airbus to her, so at least I can talk about Airbus to you guys and not get in trouble for it. So thank you again, Rand. Really appreciate it. All right, I'm doing 340, so I'm going to go ahead and back this off a little bit because it's so bumpy. I don't like climbing out at 340 knots. I think I've mentioned that before. Let's back it down to 310. We'll go from there. There we go. Beautiful. So yeah, I don't use my company charts because I can't upload them, and even if I could, I think that would be illegal. But I use just the free charts, and I don't... Honestly, the only reason I haven't used the... what's that chart service that everybody uses, the Jeppesen charts? It's expensive, man. $100? Like, sheesh. I have the chart sitting right in front of me, so I always find it hard to, you know, put that kind of money in charts when I have the actual charts in front of me. Slab Kidder says Denver taxi as long as the leg itself. Yeah, it can be really long, man, for sure. Ali340R says you should really check out XEnviro. Love to see you fly into some real low-vis situations with snow and rain. Ali, you know what, man? I'm going to be completely with you honest, dude. This looks beautiful here. I have been toying with getting XEnviro for the last, since it came out, essentially. And now looking at some screenshots, of Microsoft 2020 and the graphics that it provides out of the box, I'm having an even harder time justifying spending any additional money on X-Plane right now. Just because, I mean, if X-Plane comes out and it is what it is, what everyone says it's going to be, I don't know. X-Plane will still be on my computer somewhere, but I don't think I'm going to be spending a lot of money in it. So I'm just on the fence, man. I'm in a real weird position. It's like I see all this Microsoft 2020 stuff that I really am looking forward to. So it makes me not want to invest too much more into X-Plane at this moment in time. Now, 2020 could come out. It could be, you know, a real early product. It could be no airliners or anything like that, no Airbuses. And in that case, of course, I'll be sticking with X-Plane. We'll be flying X-Plane and whatnot. But until I know for sure, it's hard for me to make that kind of decision already. All right, there's 18,000 feet. We'll go ahead and set standard. We're at a 10, so we'll go ahead and kill our lights now. I should have had these two lights off already, but those can come off. APU is going to stay online. So at a 10,000 feet, we do our ladies, liquids, and lights. We got our lights. We are going to talk to the ladies here and our liquids. So let's go ahead and pull up our hydraulics. That looks good. Nice and full there. How about our engines? Look at that, 11.9. Oil looks good. Beautiful. Ladies, liquids, and lights. We'll tell them that we'll get that it's a little bit bumpy. They obviously can feel it. So we're going to keep the seatbelt sign on for now. Let's go ahead and bring these cabin temps down just a little bit so our passengers in the back there aren't getting too hot. 24C, that's pretty comfortable, right? All right. Back to it here. Tor L Ellerstein donated 100 Norwegian krones super chat. Thank you with these super chat sticker. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for that 100 Norwegian krone bomb, my friend. Glad you're enjoying hanging out with us today. So really awesome, man. Thank you for your support. I hope you continue to enjoy the videos I'm putting out. I'm trying to find a good wing view for us here. We're going to be flying over a lot of clouds here, so that one looks good. Ooh, that one's a little bit better. We'll stay with that one for now. Dimitri says, I don't need the chrono starts by itself. Yeah, you know, I forgot. I'm actually at that auto chrono script from our good buddy Romulus. It does not work with the Toliss, so I effed that up, but I'll blame it on the FO. He forgot to start it. So my FO, Phantom 320, where you at, man? He forgot to start the... You've got to start the chrono. Another 10 euro donation from Davin Crawford, a super chat. and another subscriber. Thank you, Matasius, for subscribing to the channel, my friend. Davin says, I'm with Rand here as a newly qualified FO on the ATR-72. Ooh, buddy, I love that plane. With the Aer Lingus here in Ireland, I find these interesting, learning a lot about the Airbus, which I will hopefully transition to one joy. Awesome, Davin. That's cool that you're on the ATR-72. I just saw... What is it? It's the Silver Wings in the United States. They just started flying the ATR... Or maybe that was a different one. They just started... Isn't there like an ATR-60 or something? Maybe one of you guys can help me out in the chat there. But Silver Wings in the U.S., I just saw it for the first time. One of the newer turboprops. But the ATR-72-42, man, that's cool. That's a beast of an airplane, my friend. That's a heck of a lot more workload than this Airbus. I can assure you that. But turboprops are sweet. I cut my teeth on turboprops, and that's pretty cool, man. Good to have you here. All right, we're at level 230. Let's go ahead and continue all the way up to our cruise altitude of 290. Thrust climb. We'll keep the managed speed now for now. Let's go ahead and take a look at our electrical loads. We're in and out of the ice here. I should have probably turned these on. Let's turn on the engine ice momentarily. Let's take a look at our electrical load. Another subscriber, Timote. Thank you for subscribing, Timotage, Router. Really appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining the channel. Take a look here. This is actually really surprising to me, guys. So this is very realistic. I was looking at the loads throughout our day flying with the generator offline. And I was surprised at how they split at the voltages, 16%, 20% usage. That's very accurate. That's almost exactly what it was in the real airplane. So that's cool to see that they have the percentages modeled there, and it's obviously modeling it correctly, because that's almost exactly what I was seeing throughout the day when we were flying this configuration. That's pretty neat. All right. 24.6 climbing to 280. What I can do here, let's go ahead to the progress page. Let's throw a good old DFW in the box here, so we just have a little bit of information. 500 miles to DFW, not a problem. I'm going to have to make a quick phone call for about 2 minutes when we get up to cruise. I got some business I need to take care of, so I'm going to have to step to the lab for about 2 minutes once we get up to cruise. Just excuse me for that. But everything else is looking good here. It looks like it's smoothed out. We'll go ahead and turn the seatbelt sign off. You're now free to move about the cabin. That's a cool shot right there. I don't know. I don't know where to go. Let's go there. Jump and Run says the thing about Microsoft 2020 is I don't think it will be so damn accurate like X-Plane when it comes to the aerodynamics and stuff. Austin really digs deep into that. I have my doubt about 2020. Jump and Run, I hear you, man. I'm concerned about that too, but I did watch their aerodynamic video from Microsoft 2020 that came out, and it looked promising. And like I said, it's all hearsay, guys. I don't have access to the tech alpha, so I don't know for sure, and I can't give you guys a real factual information. Factuated, I don't even know if that's a word. I can't really give you factual information about the flight dynamics of 2020, but from what I've heard and seen in their videos, it looks pretty good. But I totally agree with you in the fact that I know Austin really dives deep into his aerodynamic simulation, so it's got to be up there with X-Plane. And who knows, man? I mean, maybe X-Plane's going to come out with some kind of update here to really put the competition in, really heat up the competition. So I'm not by any means saying I'm getting rid of X-Plane right now, but I am looking forward to 2020, and it's hard for me to invest in X-Plane right now with the unknown and the hype of 2020 right around the corner. Once I can get my hands on a Tech Alpha 2 or a Beta or whenever it releases, then I can make the decision. But I'll tell you this, I'm probably not going to run 2 simulators on my computer, so either 2020 is going to be the way to go, or I'm going to be sticking with X-Plane. We'll see. Adam Thang says, in what situations would you choose a manual thrust on the Airbus? Whenever you want to, man. Now, and I say that lightly, but coming in on approach, if you just want to practice using manual thrust, turn it off. I do it. I try to do a full manual approach at least once a trip, sometimes even more. Where top of descent, I just turn off the auto thrust and I turn off the autopilot and I just hand fly down. Now I'll try not to do that into a super busy terminal area like San Francisco or LAX or New York, because then the FO is going to be working his butt off and it's not really nice. So if I'm going somewhere in the middle of nowhere, I'll just do it manually just to keep your scan going, because you really got to, it's something you really got to pay attention to in the Airbus. I mean, it will make you lazy, and you start turning the auto thrust off and now you got to look at your speed. It's all about getting your instrument scan sharpened up. So I try to do it at least once a trip, make sure I keep my scan going. I've learned speed and I mean, it flies, the airplane flies beautifully with no automation. So I know a lot of guys are scared to turn the automation off, and I was guilty of it too, man. I flew a very long time with using automation all the time, and then I got to a situation where I was hand flying it and my scan was just so off. I told myself, I was like, look, I gotta have to practice this because I cannot let my instrument scan go. I don't want to get complacent in the airplane, so that's why I do it. But yeah, the airplane will fly beautifully without any automation. We did a lot of that flying when we were in our enhanced envelope training in my recurrent simulator this last couple weeks. We did full-on departure procedures out of New York City, LaGuardia, with no auto thrust, no flight directors, no autopilot, just using Rose nav. I mean, it works just like any other airplane, and it flies wonderfully. So don't be afraid to experiment and take it off, or turn it off. Ace says Silver has the 42-6 and the 72-6. They send down here in the Bahamas a lot. Nice. Ali says, can you give any insight on the current quality of the 321 sounds? Ali, no, I can't. I don't know if they're going to adjust it or not. I really don't want to speak to that. I don't know what their plan is, if it is a different sound set. And I can tell you, though, in real life, an honest opinion of the sounds. Looks like we're out of the clouds. Just go ahead and turn off the engine and eyes for now. So the 321, guys, is, unfortunately, it's probably the quietest of the three. And I mean, and not probably, it is, because the cockpit is so much, not so much, but it is a little bit more forward from the engines than the 320 and especially the 319. So in all reality, the 321 cockpit, if you wanted pure reality, you're not going to hear much of anything. I mean, you'll hear the engine spool up and spool down a little bit or at high power settings, but that's pretty much it. I mean, engine start, you get a very low bass rumble, that's about it, because you are so far from the engines themselves. Now, in the back of the airplane, if you're sitting right here where this wing view is right now and you go, toga takeoff, it's pretty darn loud because of the 321 engines, the V, what are they, 233? I forget what the model number is on the 321. I should know it, but they are the most powerful ones, right? So they have the most amount of thrust compared to all the other models. And when those things rip on a toga takeoff, I mean, you know, because that sucker is loud if you're sitting back here. Now, I don't know what Toliss plans to do with the sounds, if they've already tweaked them or not. Honestly, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try to move the 319 BSS sounds into the 321 that I'm testing right now and just kind of mess around, because I think you could probably come in here and adjust all of this stuff to make it sound like a 321. Because honestly, it's the same engine, right? I mean, obviously these sounds are modeled off of CFM, but if they were IAE engines, you could change the audio settings to probably get it pretty darn close. So the 319 is definitely the most realistic, or is the most loud airplane from up front. I mean, you go takeoff, even on a flex takeoff, it's screaming up front. You hear things creaking and cracking, and it's loud. 321 is nice and quiet up front, anyway. Davin says it's a lot of fun flying into some fun and challenging airports. Great way to cut your teeth and practice your landings. She's a bit slippy in the wind sometimes, but a very fun aircraft. Yeah, man, I've seen some crazy footage of those ATRs and crosswind landings. But that's cool, man. That seems like a fun airplane. What joystick yoke are you using? About rotor pedals, thrust levers? I'm using the Thrustmaster Warthog. My rotor pedals are the Satec Pro Flight pedals. Ben Huey says, I don't know if this is asked before, but why does the nose wheel on some Airbus planes angle towards the cockpit? Like kind of extended out? You know, I've seen that too. I don't really have a good answer for you, Ben. I wish I did. I honestly don't. I think it would have to do with maybe stress loading or something. I'm not completely sure, man, but I do know what you're talking about. I don't have a real good answer for you. I wish I knew. I'm sure I could find out, ask some people, but that's one thing I don't know off the top of my head. Dimitri says, V1 Sim, if you were the king of France and had to choose between 100% real-life sounds and 100% real-life McDo, what would it be? Oh, 100% real-life McDo, man. Definitely. The MCDU, a 100% modeled MCDU with the A-cars and all that stuff. Oh, that would be so fun to have. And there would be so much more to show you guys. Now, the Toliss MCDU in the 321 has definitely been updated. I know they're going to continue to work on it and add more features. But like I said before, the secondary flight plan is already functional. And just the way it flows, it seems better, it's snappier, it's good. HD Sim, yeah, I am a beta tester for the 321. So, unfortunately, I'm not sure what I can tell you guys or what I can't tell you guys. But I can tell you this, the way the airplane flies, it flies like a 321. It feels really good. I was kind of blown away by the modeling that they already have done to the 321 in terms of flight dynamics and feel. So this last trip, I was actually collecting. I flew a 321 for 2 days, and I was collecting, you know, the takeoff performance data, kind of like you guys have seen me do those takeoff and landing video, or I'm sorry, just the takeoff performance tests with the flight factor and the Toliss. So I've got the data for that. I ran one test the other day, and it was pretty darn accurate. And I got 2 more sets of data I want to run through, and that I'll, you know, give my findings to Toliss, and they'll do with it whatever they want to do with it. So, but as far as hand flying it around, it's pretty sweet. So, all right, let's do a flyby shot here real quick, and then we're gonna hop outside. Oh yeah, what's our wind up here today? Winds have been, not too bad. It's only 50 knots. So I was flying the other day last week. If you're in the Discord, you probably saw the picture of it. Like 140 or something knot headwind, direct headwind. Our ground speed was less than 300. I think it was 280 or something, which that just is rough, man. Oh, that's loud. Alright. Well, maybe we should go on this side. Let's see. I'm trying to find a good little angle here, and then we'll talk about go home day woes. Yeah, I like the other side with the sun. Beautiful little bird, though. Carl says if he was the king of France, I'd speak German and get both choices. Yeah, definitely I would go for the McDo. There we go. Beautiful. Dougal says, hi, my name is Alex. Would you beta test my 380, please? Oh my gosh, man. That was something. Yeah, I was watching XP 1972 stream the other night, and that was definitely entertaining. We had apparently a Flight Factor dev who was a troll on there. That was too funny. Anyway, so yeah, about this generator INOP, guys. So we were leaving first flight in the morning. It was ice. The plane was icy and everything, so we had to get de-iced. I think the temperature was, I don't know, it was really cold. It was in the 20s, Fahrenheit, that is. So it was definitely minus in the negative degree range. There was ice on the airplane. We had to get de-iced. We push back, get de-iced, start them up. As soon as we start up engine 1, ding, 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 ding. Generator 1 offline, yada, yada, yada. So we're like, great. All right. Do the procedure, clear the ECAM. We got to taxi back into the gate. Got maintenance on the phone. They said, yeah, this isn't something you can defer from where you are as like a pilot deferral. You have to come back to the gate and let maintenance look at it. So that's gate return number 1. Return to the gate. We're at the gate. Maintenance comes on board. Contract maintenance route at an outstation. And he's like, all right, well, we're going to just have to defer this. We'll run the APU. Like I told you guys, we're going to run the APU the whole flight. Operational restriction below 31,000 feet. A couple of things we have to do. Check each flight. So, all right, that takes about 30 minutes, right? Because the paperwork, a lot of times, guys, when you're delayed and, you know, it's the crew says something's broken on the airplane, a lot of times the wait time is not because they're trying to fix the problem. It's because we're trying to get the paperwork in line. In order to dispatch an aircraft with INOP system or something that it just broke, there's a lot of I's that you need to dot and a lot of T's that you need to cross for paperwork. So after about 30 minutes, we get our paperwork, book signed off. Book, when I say book, I mean the aircraft logbook. So it has to be on the airplane, has to be updated, has to be filled out properly. If something were to go wrong, the FAA is going to look into that logbook and make sure everything is perfect. And if it's not, guess whose butt is in the hot seat? It's going to be mine. So you got to make sure that's absolutely perfect. Perfect. We get everything done. Good. Close the door. Push off the gate. We're taxiing out. Start up the engines. Well, we start the engines before we taxi out, obviously. Leave the APU on, right? So everything's running normal. We do our APU generator check like we just did at the gate there in Denver, making sure that the AC buses can be reverted either to generator 2 or APU generator. Taxi out for takeoff. We're holding short. And of course, it's taking forever. And there's like in-trail spacing and things like that. Now, we're number 1 for takeoff. Getting ready to take the runway. Ding, ding, ding. APU Emergency Shutdown. So, the APU can shut down for a couple reasons, and they differ whether you're in flight or on the ground. Now, an emergency shutdown is something the APU did not like, and when it does an emergency shutdown, it doesn't even go for a cooldown period. It just shuts off. Boom. Electrics are lost, pneumatic power is lost, APU shuts down, no cooldown time or anything like that. Now, we don't know, we don't have any ECAM items that tell us why the APU shut down. And it's just something that happens. It's a maintenance thing. I've had it before where the APU will emergency shut down on the ground. Sometimes it can be a low oil situation or a high temp, something like that, but we don't get those indications on the ECAM. It just says emergency shutdown. Now, since the APU was required for the flight, guess what we got to do? We got to go back to the gate, right? Because now we're sitting on one generator, generator 2. So now we got to get out of line, taxi on the runway, back taxi, turn around, get off the runway, go back to the gate. Gate's occupied. So now we're sitting there waiting for our gate to open back up so we can get back to the gate and get the APU looked at. Because if the APU can't get fixed, this airplane can't go anywhere because it is required to have at least 2 generators operating, right? We need either the APU generator and 1 engine generator, or 2 engine generators, and we don't have the APU. But you have to have 2 generators operable for the flight. So finally we get back on the gate. Maintenance comes on. They're like, hey, what's going on? Apparently they had no idea, even though we were talking to dispatch. So, well, the APU emergency shutdown. So now the guy's got to go out there and figure out, okay, we're either going to fix the generator 1 or we're going to fix the APU. So they looked in the aircraft systems pages, and they do their little maintenance thing, and they determined that they were going to try to get the APU back up and running. So now that takes, I don't know, 45 minutes. Get that all sorted out. APU's running again, book signed off, waiting for the paperwork, getting ready to taxi out. And we're like getting ready to push off the gate, and we're running through a checklist, and like we're looking at our fuel for takeoff. And we had enough fuel, but the problem was, and this is where it'll get a little gotcha, is we de-iced the first time, and we have a certain amount of holdover time before we have to get de-iced again, or the aircraft has to be airborne. Well, our holdover time had expired. So now we have to get de-iced again, and I was looking at the fuel, I'm just thinking, there's no way, even though we have enough fuel right now, if I push off the gate, go get de-iced, go get back in line, I don't think we're going to have enough fuel for takeoff. So now we got to get more fuel, right? So now we're sitting at the gate waiting for fuel. And you can imagine the passengers at this point are getting antsy. They're like, why aren't we going? But it's good for you guys to understand this situation too. I mean, up front, I don't want to be delayed any more than you guys, right? I mean, I want to go home. This is go home day for us. We've been on the road all week. I don't want to delay any passengers, but I'm trying to do it as safe and as quickly as I can. So safety is my #1 priority. So the passengers now are really getting upset because we're waiting for fuel. They're short on ground crew. Captain Gio wasn't out there fueling airplanes, so it was taking too long. Finally, we got our fuel. Got off the gate. I think we ended up being a little over 2 hours behind schedule. I think about 2 hours and 45 minutes behind schedule or something like that. And then, of course, you know, that delay just kind of snowballs throughout the day, because then you show up at your next station where the gate might not be in line. You might not have a gate available, so then you got to wait for that gate. And then you get on, you're behind, so then you have to get new paperwork for the next flight. You have to keep doing your APU checks every leg. By the last leg, we ended up in Dallas. There was 3 legs. The last leg, we ended up in Dallas, and we were only about an hour and 30 minutes behind our original scheduled time, which sounds like a lot, but we were originally 2 hours and 45 minutes behind. So we made up about an hour in time throughout the day. But of course, when we got to Dallas, it was just one of those days where I gotta wait for a gate, right? So we sat on the ground for another 45 minutes waiting for a gate at our base, essentially. So then you can imagine the passengers were extremely upset. And then by the time I went downstairs to catch the crew shuttle, go to my truck, I had just missed the bus to the employee lot. So I had to wait about another 20 minutes for the freaking bus to show up. So you can imagine the frustration all around. But that's just how, you know, go home day, man. It just happens. It just happens that way. That won't happen on day 1 of a trip, day 2 of a trip. It'll only happen on the last day of a trip. Anyway, let's go ahead and do a flyby view, catch up with some of these comments here. But that's kind of why I'm doing this Generator 1 INOP flight for you guys. Man, that sounds good. Let's do one more. Yes, sir. This Generator INOP flight for you guys because I wanted you to experience my pain. I guess I can put this back in auto. There we go. All right, let's do a systems check here real quick. Make sure all of our fluids are doing good. Pull up our ECAM. Oh, we're burning a little bit of oil, 11.7 quarts there. Everything else looks good. Vibes are good. I don't know why these are grayed out. I think this is some old software situation, but that looks good there. Everything looks good here. How's our electrical doing? Look, 24% on the APU, 20% on Gen 2. That's normal and just like real life, so that looks good. Hydraulics are still good. Our fuel is still balanced. I'm actually going to do a little transfer of fuel here in a minute. We'll transfer fuel here in a minute. We haven't done a fuel transfer in a while. So you can see APU is available, 24%. The bleed's at 13 psi. That's just residual pressure leaking. I think in the real airplane we were only leaking about 6 or 7 psi, but that looks normal. 100%, 330 on the temp. That's actually a little bit warm for this altitude. I mean, shoot, it's minus 44 on the sat out here. So I guess I could have just looked right here. That looks a little hot. I think our temps were a little bit closer to the bottom of this arc here, but that's neither here nor there. I was looking, it's getting a little bit chilly in here. I hate flying with cold cockpits, so I'm going to bump that up. And we'll bump up the cabin temps just a little bit for the packs in the back there. And slides are on. Beautiful. BEA, a beautiful day. Alright, let me catch up with where you guys were. Captain Berto says, hi V1. Berto, my bad, man. I didn't see you. I was in the middle of my story there talking about my go-home day woes, but good to have you in the house, my friend. Nice to see you here. Carl Chulish says the GE90s and the 777-300 are so darn loud as well. Oh, yeah, man. Those GE90s are sweet. I tell you what, they are sweet. They're huge, too. I mean, you can, what, put a 737 fuselage inside there? Dimitri says, V1, if you were... Oh, I already read that one. I'm trying to catch up, guys. Dimitri says, what about the hold and fix info in the McDo for 321? So holding seems to be working good. No info on the fix info page yet. So I don't want to go into detail about what they're doing. I don't think I can, but I'm not quite there on the fix info page. Tell us all. Carl Childers says a 321, in my opinion, is the only decent 7576 replacement. Yes, sir. 321 can load up just as many people as a 75, depending on configuration, if not more. Some of the legacy 757 on U.S. Airways only held about 160 people. And you can get, I mean, you can cram them into a 321 in a full economy configuration. You can take up to like 228. You go full economy, but it just depends on how your airline sets them up. And somebody told me, I don't know if this is true or not, I want to look into this, so don't quote me, but when I was in training, we were talking about the 321 and the advanced performance and all that stuff. Depending on your weight, like your gross weight for takeoff, passengers, and bags, there is a lot of instances where the 321 actually has a better power-to-weight ratio than a 7.5, which I got to look into myself. I don't know how true or not that is, but that's what the Czech airman was telling me, so that might be a fun fact to look up. Power and Attitude says, a fantastic stream as always. Power and Attitude. I like that. I like that name. It says, fantastic stream as always. I really learned so much from your streams. It's invaluable. Thanks. 2 exams away from my CPL, and this is a great way to learn more. Power and Attitude. Awesome, man. CPL. That's the big one. That was my favorite one to teach when I was an instructor. I love teaching commercial pilots. But good luck on that, my friend. Dougal says there's nothing catching on that thumbs up button. That's right, Dougal. I appreciate it. Hit that like button, guys. If you want to help me out. YouTube has been so weird lately, man, with the, I'm sure you guys have heard of the COPA compliance and all that. So essentially, if you guys aren't aware, YouTube is doing this thing now where they got fined by the FCC for, I don't know, targeting kids and advertisement with kids. And a kid is anybody under, was it 13 years old or something like that? 13 years old? I don't know. I was reading some of the documents. But essentially what it boils down to is 2 things. When you make a video, you have to declare if it is child-friendly or not. If you say it is child-friendly content or intended for child viewers, you cannot have live chat, you cannot have comments, you cannot have thumbs up, thumbs down, things like that. Now, if you say no, it's not for children, then the YouTube algorithm takes over and doesn't really promote your video as much. So then you're going to be losing viewership and things like that. So hitting that like button really does help me out, guys, because I do mark these videos as not safe for children. because I want to be able to interact with you on live chat, and I want to be able to have you guys have the thumbs up button and comment on everything. So I think that's really important. So I mark all my videos for non-child compliant, even though I don't think there's anything on there that would be child compliant or child targeted. But yeah, if you have any content that you say is safe for kids and then it violates the COPA Act, they can fine the creator a very, very hefty fine. And the spectrum of what is their definition of targeting children is all over the place. From something that if you have any children or toys in your video, anything like that, it can be a child intended toward children. So it's really, really stupid. Dougal, $5 bomb. Thank you so much, Dougal. He says, thank you so much for all you do for us. Dougal, no, thank you, my friend. Glad to have you on board. Thank you for that donation. Really appreciate it. So, thank you for supporting the channel, my friend. Dougal, you're always a hard worker here in the admin channel. Banhammer when necessary. You guys are awesome. Rose Jackson in the house. How's it going, V1? I'm doing just fine, Rose. How are you? Gaming Ninja says, as an automation engineer, I would love to be one of the engineers working on the planes or designing the systems, although lots of lives at stake that rely on your programming. Absolutely, Gaming Ninja. There's a shirt I saw one of the mechanics wearing one time. It was, if it's in the air, maintenance put it there. And it's a good point. I mean, there's a lot of, for maintenance and the engineers that go into creating the automation for the systems and subsystems. There's a whole heck of a lot on the line. So that's why that logbook is so important for the aircraft, too, because if something does go wrong, that's the first place the FAA, the NTSB are going to look, make sure, hey, was everything complied with? Who was responsible for this and who was responsible for that? So pretty fascinating stuff, though, when you look at the automation on the Airbus and you realize that this was created, only a few years after the MD-80, right? So in design, anyway, it wasn't flying, but the MD-80 tech it wasn't too far after the MD-80 came out that the technology, the Airbus, was already there. So to come up with the automation that they did at that time period, pretty fantastic. Martin says, why is no one flying the FFA 320 lately? Martin, I don't know. The 320 is, oh, you know what? I do have to do a couple flights with it since V1 came out, version 1.0. There's a couple things I don't like that they've done already, mostly the pop-outs for the MCDU. They have the stupid border around them. You can't get rid of it. A couple things with aspect ratio are off. I'll talk about that in my V1 After Dark podcast that's coming out for December and November combined. But I don't really know why anybody would be not flying it other than that. Wojtek in the house. Good morning. Good to see you here, Wojtek. Rose Jackson says, oh dear, sounds like a baby crying in the background. Yeah, my dog broke into my office here, so the door was open for a little bit. I think baby might have been crying. She should be going out for a nap right now, pretty soon, though. Rose Jackson says, can an Airbus pilot fly a Boeing? Well, I did it in the sim. I don't know how it'd be in real life. But honestly, I think if you're commercially rated, or at least an airline transport pilot, you could probably get the airplane on the ground. When you have add-ons like the ZIBO, shoot, I feel like I can get in a real-life 7.3 and go from A to B and just fine. But, it just depends. Obviously, it would not be allowed or legal, but I'd probably be sitting there trying to start the engine. It's like, what the heck? I got to add fuel, and I got to do what? But some of you didn't know. What do we got up here? Oh, boy. Master caution. Flight control ELAC 1 faults. Ew, this is flight control malfunctions. This is not good. Let's take a look at this. Flight control, ELAC 1 fault. ELAC 1 off, then on. Okay, ELAC 1 off. And then back on. Rut-row. If unsuccessful, ELAC 1 off. Oh boy. Okay. We're shutting down one of our ELACs. Everything else looks good. Alright, clear flight control. Clear flight control. Cat 3 single. We're already Cat 1 because we're downgraded to 1 generator. INOP systems, ELAC 1, Cat 3 dual, generator 1. Alright, let's go ahead and pull up our... I should have went to manage speed here a while ago. We'll go manage speed. Let me pull up ELAC 1 fault. Alright. Mr. Horizon said if you had 50 bucks, what airplane would you buy? You talking about right now? Are you looking for an Airbus, my friend? What are you looking for? If you're looking for an Airbus, I don't know if we have any for $50. I'm going to need some options. The 7.5 is a rocket. Yes, it sure is, man. Yeah, Carl says that's amazing if true, since the 7.5 was a rocket ship, especially when light. It climbed like a homesick angel. I know, man. I've been on that 7.5 when they're light and loaded. Now, it's not every time. It's only, you know, at certain loads. And like I said, I got to look it up myself to see if it's actually got some truth to it. But I had a 321 the other day out of Atlanta. We were light and cold. We were climbing 5,500 feet a minute like nothing. So I don't know at what weights it is, but I mean, obviously the 757 is a more powerful aircraft in general. It was just designed that way, but it could be an interesting fact to look up. I'll have to do some fact checking on that. Alright, I'm pulling up my column here, my company operating manual, or cockpit operating manual. Abnormal emergency procedures. Never a dull moment with the Toliss, it really is. I forget what the fault was. It was a ELAC 1, right? Let's do a recall. Alright, electric gen 1, we know that, and flight control ELAC 1 fault. So, it's under flight controls. So I'm looking this up in my iPad right now, just like I would in a real aircraft. Flight control ELAC 1 to fault. Okay. And this is flight control ELAC 1, so we clear status. The book says, ELAC affected off and on, we did that. In some side stick transducer failure cases, ELAC 1-2 fault is triggered without the procedure and fault light on associated push button does not come on. Well, we know that the fault light came on, so we know it's not a side stick problem. If ELAC 1 is set on the ground, pitch trim is reset to 0, so we're not on the ground, doesn't matter. If unsuccessful, ELAC affected side off, which ELAC 1 is off. Functions are performed by the other ELAC, so we still have ELAC 2 over here. Interesting. Fuel consumption is increased. FMS prediction is unreliable. Alright, so our fuel prediction is unreliable now. 3.9. We should have plenty of gas anyway. Alright, that's the end of procedure. So basically, it's a crew awareness thing. That's kind of scary though. Generator 1 failed, now we got an ELAC fail. Let's go ahead and look at our flight controls. So you could see here, Airbus gives you a handy dandy flight control page. Basically shows you ELAC 1 is in op. So what do we lose? We lose the blue hydraulics on left aileron and the green hydraulics on the right aileron. But we still have redundant with green left and blue right. So we still have plenty of flight control surface movement. The aircraft is not even in abnormal law. We're still in normal law, so everything is operating just normally. This would be something, though, that's definitely going to be written up on the ground and fixed. I don't think we can dispatch with an ELAC inoperative. I'm pretty darn positive about that. So, okay, never a dull moment here in the good old Toliss. 267 miles. We're going to have to get ready for a top of descent here. Let me catch up with the comments, and then we'll get back to setting up. Wow, that's loud. All right. Catch up some of these comments here. Carl says, well, the thing is it has to be targeted for kids, which is different than safe for kids. They're going overboard because the FCC chewed their butt real good. Yeah, they sure did, man. They got fined quite a bit. Quentin Johnson, V1, how's it going? Perfect day. It's my birthday and you're streaming. Awesome, Quentin Johnson. Happy birthday, my friend. Glad to have you aboard. M Horizon says, V1, if a kid put down 500 hours on simulation flying, could they operate or at least land the plane? Eesh. You'd probably land it. If you're going to be able to walk away from it, I don't know. That's tough to say. It also depends on the airplane, man. It really does. There's something to be said, like we talk about how realistic flight simulation is, and it really is a good training tool, but there's something to be said about actually being on an aircraft and feeling the inertia on your body and the G's on your body and atmospheric conditions. You know, sitting at a desktop simulator, all we have to go on is sound and visual cues. In real life, you've got, you know, that third dimension of feel and all that, so there's a lot to be said about that. So at 500 hours simulation time, yeah, you might be able to put it on the ground. Will you be able to walk away from it? It depends. James, he says, hi everyone, sorry I'm late. I'm in study hall watching you. That's awesome, man. You get to studying, my friend. Hang out with us. Good to have you here. Rose Jackson says, not too bad, thank you. But can Airbus fly Boeing? Sorry if you read the comment already. Yeah, I already answered that one. But yeah, I mean, legally, in real life, no. But could we do it? Any ATP pilot at that level who's flying a commercial jet, I'm sure they'll be pretty darn, they can figure it out. I mean, by the time you get to the ATP level, you've flown some airliners, it's pretty much all, I don't want to say it's all the same, but it's all very similar. It's just different ways of accomplishing the same tasks, right? So Airbus has their way of doing things, Boeing has their way of doing things, but at the end, you're accomplishing the same task. So hopefully your experience throughout your career, you will have a little bit of everything that you can piece together and throw it together and maybe fly another airplane in an emergency situation. But legally in US, no. How much stream delay do you have? Not too much, man, but I've scrolled back in the comments. I'm trying to catch up on the comments, so that's why it seems a little bit more delayed than normal. I'm gonna get back down to it here. Yep, the ELAC, Rose Jackson, is the elevator and aileron control computer. Captain Geo says, how much fuel pounds can you take after your regular fuel load? So, Captain Geo, it's up to, you mean without having to get an amendment from dispatch? I think we can take in excess of 500 pounds. But anything more than 500 pounds, I think it's 500 pounds, you have to get a new release. Or an amendment to your fuel loader, considered overfueled. Quentin Johnson says, hey, would you ever have the head camera? Would you ever have the head camera like XP does? Little headshot in the bottom corner. You know, I thought about it. I may at some point. I kind of wanted to do a little Stanley cam and just have a little camera over on my Beagle when he starts howling, but we'll see. You know, Christmas is around the corner. This will make for an interesting approach. Yeah, it sure will. Rose Jackson said I was on a plane 2 days ago, and it was an RTO. Ugh. And the braking was nothing I felt before. Airbus 350 max brakes are unreal. I bet, man. I've had an RTO. I think I've talked about it before, and it is a violent for sure. I wonder if it was. Do you know if it was a high speed aboard or not? Typically over 80 knots, but ouch. Why did they have an RTO, Rose? Rejecting takeoff on a roll like that is something typically pretty serious is going to happen for you to do that. HD Sim says, I have to tell you, V1, I am enjoying flying the latest update of the Toliss 319 with the BSS sound. Did they update the MCDU software yet? No, they have not updated the software yet for the MCDU in the Toliss 319, unfortunately. What they are doing, though, guys, is they're going to release the 321 first. which will come with the new MCDU, and I think they're going to let that run through its paces for just a short time, and then they're just going to put that MCDU in the 319, because they don't want to just put out the 1.4 version and then find out there's some bugs on that and then give it to the 319 at the same time. So from what I understand, they're going to release the 321 with the new, excuse me, I have the hiccups, with the new MCDU software, and then after a short period of time, they're going to put any quick fixes in that, and then that's going to be released for the Toliss MCDU. That's my understanding of it. I may be wrong, but from what I gather, that's what they're working on. Dougal says this is what redundancy is all about. It sure is, man. Good old Airbus. It takes a lot to go wrong to have a bad day in an Airbus. Not saying that it can, but, or that it can't go wrong, but they do have a pretty fascinating system of redundancy within the Airbus. Dimitri says, in case of a dual ELAC failure, wouldn't Sec 1 or 2 automatically take over? Yeah, and actually I have that page up right here next to me, Dimitri. Both computers failed. Associated procedures, that would put us into alternate law. We'd lose our protections. Pitch and roll, normal laws are lost. So we're in the flight control alternate law, and a max speed is 320 knots. And essentially what's happening there is you're going to be controlling most of it with the roll spoilers, I believe. So ELAC 1 and 2 would be INOP. Flight control protection INOP. Steep approach, if installed, is inoperable. Left and right ailerons are inoperable. So yeah, you would be controlling the roll of the aircraft with the roll spoilers with Sec 1 and Sec 2. Not a big deal. Matter of fact, when I did the enhanced envelope training for my recurrent, the EET program, we did almost all of our flying in alternate law using roll spoiler control. So it's still not a big, I mean, it's a big deal if ELAC 2 fails too, as well, I should say. But even at that point, we're still in no danger or harm of not having control of the airplane. So we are still well within our safety margins. Dougal putting the hammer down on Wasim. What's going on, Wasim, man? Quentin Johnson, where are we flying? We're flying from Denver to Dallas. Slam Cannon says, I know you can't say much, but are you happy overall with the new MCDU and the 321? Slam Cannon, yes, I'm happy with what they've done so far. I will say this, I hope that they continue to add improvements before they release it. So it's not fully, where I think it should be, but they have done a lot. I am happy with what they've done so far, and I know there's a lot still to go into it, so. Rose Jackson said they were over 130 knots. The captain said the engine overheat warning light up. For some reason they take as a threat of fire. Why fire overheat? So engine overtemp. So yeah, you could have had an ITT runaway. Who knows what that could be? But that would probably be a red. That would be probably an RTO item. I'm not sure what it would be on the Airbus, but you saw it in the failure stream that I did. That's how Flight Factor simulated an engine failure. Basically, we had an ITT runaway and it went way up over 10,000, and the engine failed. So depending on the aircraft, I mean, that definitely sounds like an RTO item to me. Nathaniel says, I love your streams, man. Always learn something new. Thank you, Nathaniel. All right, let's set up here in the jump seat, and let's go ahead and look over our approach planning. I'm going to go constraint mode. Oops. Zoom this in here. Oops, got to be on plan mode for that. Alright, and I'll pull up my active sky. I'll do a refresh here. What we have in the good old DFW. Big D, little FW. Alright, so it's an hour 47 minutes old. Oh no, it's not. This is a new one. Just popped up. Oh no, this is almost an hour old. Anyway. Winds are 320 at 20. Ugh. 10 miles. Overcast 1,000 feet. Temperature 4, dew point 1, altimeter 3003. I'll set that. 3003. Peak wind is 300 at 26 knots. That happened at 16:55 Zulu. Alright, so enter destination data. I know. That's what I'm doing. Alright. KDFW, and then we're going to put in... What runway did I say we're landing on? 35 center. 35 center. 35. Oh, not 25 center. Wrong airport. 35 center. Perf data. Next, we're going to descend at 300, and we'll do 320 knots and 79 Mach. Altimeters 3003, 3003. Temperature 4. That's cold for us Texans. Going 300 at 26. Eesh. Let's pull up our 35 center approach. Radar required, we got all that. 35 center straight in ILS 763 in the MDA. We're doing a Cat 1 only, limited Cat 1, so we can't even do a DH if we wanted to. Now, in real life, this is updated. This says baro and radio mins for rad out and barometric minimums in the real Airbus, but essentially it's the same thing, MDA, DH. We cannot do a Cat 2 or Cat 3 approach with this aircraft configuration. So if the weather dropped below Cat 1 minimums, we would have to go to our alternate. There's our speeds. That looks good. How's our fuel? We know it's unreliable. This says 32 minutes, but we can't even use that. Secondary not modeled. So we've got our perf data is set. Let's step through our flight plan here. Letten, Zubov, Victory. Where's the arrival here as well? Oh, you know what? I don't think I downloaded the Jovum. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Nah, I downloaded the Victory. That's alright. Victory, Jovum, Missile, Kaboom, or Siler, and then bottoms out. So, our bottom altitude is going to be a 11,000. I'll set that in the box right now. Siler, 220, 11,000 feet. That's in the box. That looks good. Then we're on our approach, 35 center, straight in. Alright, you guys ready to hear an approach brief? Let me pull that away. Let me put active sky away. And we can put you away. Clear that out. Runway 35 center. Pulling this up on my knee board here. Alright, we'll get our LS push buttons on. We're going to use manual brakes, manual reverse. We're setting up for the ILS 35 center in the DFW. 110.3, we'll auto-tune that as we get a little bit closer. Final approach course will be 356. Glide slope intercept at Jobs is 2,100 feet. DA is 763. That should be in the glass. Why isn't any of that in there? We're below 250 feet, or 250 nautical miles. What's going on with this RadNav page? Why? For some reason it's hard tuned IRBD. Can I clear it out? Don't crash on me. Alright, let's do it ourselves. What if we hard tune it ourselves? IPKQ. What? I ship. What? No. IPKQ. There we go. 110.3. Final approach course would be 355. Now this says ILTS. I don't know what the heck's going on. I'm going to just clear it out. We'll let it auto-tune. We'll verify it, but that's not how it is in real life. We'll just say that. So 763 is the Barrow. Touchdown is 553. Highest sector altitude out to the south, 3600. That's off the Maverick VOR. We've got Papless on the left, ALSIF 2 lighting. If we have to go missed, our missed approach procedure is going to be straight out, 3,000 feet, intercept the Maverick 356 radial out to Bossy intersection, hold right turns. That's in the box, matches the plate. Landing on runway 35 center. We've got one runway to cross. We'll make a left-hand turn off high speed, either Mike 1 or Echo Juliet. We might take it down to Yankee as well. Let's see what we got here for DFW. Now I know in real life we've got a bunch of NOTAMs. We'll go ahead and start down. Thrust idle descent. Here we go. So we'll plan to make the left turn off at Mike 1 or Echo Juliet. Double back United Parks over here in the E-Concourse. We'll hold short of 3.5 left if need be. We're in the A319 for tail strike avoidance. We're going to go auto brakes off. Manual braking. Reverse thrust as required. LS push buttons are selected. Do you have any questions? No questions. Beautiful. Make an announcement, PA. Ladies and gentlemen, we are beginning our initial descent down into Dallas-Fort Worth, about 128 miles from the airport. We should have you on the ground here in just about another 20 minutes. Weather in DFW, it's cold, cloudy, and rainy. Temperature about 38 degrees. On behalf of this Dallas-based flight crew, we want to be the first to welcome you into DFW. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival. All right, we got everything set up here. Carl says I'm flying from VHH to DFW on a 777-200 on X-Plane right now. Nice. 3.5 center. Sweet, man. Dimitri says, speaking of surface controls, when will you use the manual rudder trim switch in the overhead panel? Manual rudder trim switch in the overhead panel? I'm not aware of a manual overhead trim switch for the rudder. Are you talking about this one over here, rudder trim? We use this when hand flying and the autopilot's off, or a lot during single engine. The rudder trim, if I were to move this right now, it does nothing with the autopilot on. And in real life too, you cannot do anything with that. Charlotte Jackson, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Glad you're enjoying the content. Alright, we are out constraint at 240, looking good. So yeah, Dimitri, I'm not sure about the rudder trim on the overhead. I'm not aware of a rudder trim on the overhead. But yeah, the rudder trim over here on the console center pedestal, we use that for engine failures a lot and hand flying if we need it to. Funny thing is, during single engine, a V1 cut, we set the trim right after the engine fails. But then, as soon as we turn the autopilot on, the aircraft will automatically fix the trim. Pretty cool. Alright, we're starting down. Things are looking good. Things are looking good. Quentin Johnson says, question for you, V1 today. I set my altimeter I got it from the Addons in Atlanta. I listened to the Addons 2 times, checked the map. My plane said I was 1,000 feet high, and I'm at the gate. Why is that? Ugh. Wait, 10,000 feet high? Yeah, that's not right. I think, what's the field elevation over there in Atlanta? Like 500 feet or something like that? That's not correct. You may have a static port issue, as Carl is mentioning, or try to find an updated Addons. If it's saying 10,000 feet, that seems a little bit off for sure. I'm not sure. We're in the 320. Might be a bug. Oh, you said I tried hitting standard setting. Went from the captain to the FO side. It said my altimeter was 3015, but said I was 1,020 feet up. So that doesn't seem entirely wrong. Let me see what's the field elevation for hot Atlanta. I'll pull it up here real quick. Atlanta is, when you guys find it before me, elevation is, oh, actually, elevation is 977. That's right. So the field elevation for Atlanta is about 1,000 feet. So if that's what your altimeter is showing, that is correct. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. So Dallas is 600 foot. Is that what I said? So yeah, Atlanta's about 1,000 foot field elevation. So if you have the proper altimeter setting, this should show the airport elevation. There's 3 Jacksons in here now. There are. So are the Charlotte Jackson and Rose Jackson related? I'm going to go ahead and assume that's a yes. Lauren Jackson, hey everyone, how is it going? Sorry for the long silence. How's it going, Lauren? We're doing just fine. We're on our descent down into DFW right now. Lauren Jackson says, V1, what's the special operations in your airline when you have to do an emergency landing? With mine, the captain says number 1 to flight deck, i.e. head cabin crew. So, without going too into detail, I don't know what I can speak on, but essentially, during an emergency situation, when we land, I will say flight attendant stations. And what that means is all the flight attendants go to their duty stations and they stand by for the next command, whether that is evacuate, 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 or remain seated, remain seated, remain seated. So the flight attendant station call is basically an alert that there is either an evacuation command coming or a remain seated command coming from me, depending on the situation. So after an RTO or a rejected takeoff, it would be remain seated, remain seated, remain seated, unless, of course, you know, the wing bursted up on fire and we needed to evacuate, then of course it would be evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. Alright, there's Victory. We just passed Victory, 280 knots, below 18,000 feet. That looks good. Man, she looks good. Man, we're still crabbing in that wind pretty hard, huh? Dimitri says I'm flying the TBM 900 into BIIS in Iceland later. Pretty gnarly approach. You should try it one day. What airport is BIIS? That sounds familiar. I'm doing a TBM 900 around the world with one of my buddies. We were sharing the airframe, and we stopped in Iceland somewhere. I can't remember which airport it was. I'll have to look into that though. Alan A, what's up, V1? Finally got to check out a stream. Awesome, Alan. Glad to have you here, my friend. Just in time, man. We're starting our descent right now. We're on the arrival into Dallas, Fort Worth. We've got a generator offline. We've had an ELAC fail on us. We're down to Cat 1 minimums only, but everything else is looking pretty good, so I think we're going to be just fine. Just fine. When there's 18,000 people, we're going to get the seatbelt sign on. Lauren says, V1, yes, all related. You only met a 3% of the family. Nice. And if you're all in aviation, that's pretty cool. Carl is correct. Says, if you do not know the altimeter setting, but you know the field elevation, you can set field elevation, and that is what the current altimeter is. Absolutely correct. Did that a lot flying freight, going to airports that don't have a broadcasting ADIS or anything like that, or you don't want to tune it in. You just set field elevation real quick on the Coldsman window, and good enough, right? Nobody cares about freight dogs anyway. Max Rank says, finally caught a stream live. Love your channel. Just landed at Dublin after pushing the bus over the Atlantic. Nice. Good to have you here, Max. Glad you're enjoying the content. Dublin, huh? I'd go for a nice Guinness right now. Ice Fjord. Okay. All right, Dimitri. Yeah, I have to look into that approach. I know we landed in Iceland somewhere. Actually, I might be thinking of Greenland. We landed somewhere over there when we're moving the TBM all the way around the world. All right, how are we looking? We got missile 250, 12,000 feet. 220 knots. She's going to be a little bit fast there. We'll see how she does. Oh, we're at 12, man. It's slowing down. We might actually make it. 1 mile out, 260 knots. Yeah, close enough. Close enough for government work. That's what they say. I did want to check out real quick my joystick settings, because when I rotated on takeoff, it seemed really weird. Nope, that seems about right. Okay, we got a nice linear curve, and then of course I've spiked the end there. So I have adjusted my pitch curve, guys, for my Warthog. This is what I'm running here. Most of your flight regime is going to be right here. That's why I want a little bit more resolution. And so that looks good. What about roll? Yeah, roll is normal. All right. So we must have just been a little bit heavy there on takeoff. I wasn't expecting the delayed rotation when we took off out of Denver. Alright, let's go ahead and help ourselves out here. We'll play our own ATC. United 315, proceed direct to K-Boom. Insert that. Descend and maintain 8,000. Direct K-Boom, descend and maintain 8,000 for United 315. Thrust idle, open descent. Getting ready to go through 10,000. We'll get our... Oops, wrong ones. Come on now. Italian speed brakes out. You can see him come from under the fairing there, get him out deployed. Beautiful. Right there. Awesome. Cool shot through the cloud there with the ortho. Alan A says, what would happen if the autopilot fails to turn on? Well, then you're going to be hand flying that leg. It wouldn't be air return, but it would be an annoying flight, that's for sure. Now, it wouldn't turn on. There's got to be a reason for it. We'll probably have some kind of ECAM message. So we'd have to decide what our next course of action would be there. Wojtek says, I was flying in Europe. Do not understand the logic of transition out to 75,000 with low winter pressure is kind of late if you change your 8,000 difference. Yeah, so the reason for the transition altitude being so low in Europe is because there's no mount. I guess it's the mountain has to do with terrain clearance or something like that. I forget. I know the U.S. is abnormally high, 18,000. No, I'm not using X-Enviro Geo. This is Active Sky. I want to look out this side, though, where the... yeah, that's where I want to look. I'm going to see my house down there somewhere. That's how big your family is. Mine is 11 sisters and 8 brothers. Wow. That is a lot of siblings. Your birthday in 6 days and mine is today. Well, happy birthday. And happy future birthday to the other Jackson. I only have one sister in my family, so pretty small. A heck of a lot smaller than yours. That's insane. It's got to be fun, though, to have family reunions with everybody in the house, though. That would be pretty fun. Dimitri says I'll post pics from Iceland. Sweet, man. Do it. You have your orthos in snow, and Sam season's going great. I bet it looks awesome, man. HD Sim, did you see my trip report out of Phoenix in the 321? I sure did, man. That was pretty sweet. I watched it, man. That was good quality footage that you recorded, too. I don't know if that was from a phone or a separate camera, but it looked really nice, man. I did watch it. Love the sound, too. Alright, here we go. We're starting on the dog leg here to a base. We'll go ahead and descend and maintain 3,000. Thrust idle open, descent. Down to 3 we go. I should have turned the wing light on as well. Max Rank says, kaboom, now there's a waypoint you don't want to use in the Middle East. You're right, man. Nice little overcast out here today. Don't descend into the sucker hole. I know. Carl's talking about this over here. We call those sucker holes. I descended into one of those one time flying freight in a Beech 99. Almost killed myself. That'll be a story for the V1 After Dark podcast, for sure. Very scary thing to do, man. It can be very tempting. You're like, oh, I can see the ground through there. We can descend into that hole. We're VFR, IFR capable, but we definitely, or I definitely made a mistake. My FO saved my life. So that'll be on the V1 After Dark podcast at some point. All right, 6.3. Let's go ahead and hurry her down. Let's get some speed brakes out here. Where's the nice wing view? There it is. Let's get some boards out. Down we go, baby. Charlotte Jackson, my birthday is on Christmas Day. Wow. That is pretty interesting. That'd be fun. You have double celebration, right? Well, happy future birthday to you, Charlotte. Oh, yeah. 6 days and... Wow. That's crazy. That's a large family. Alan A says, you ever got the problem where the autopilot will not turn on in real life? No, Alan, I haven't had it where it didn't turn on. I have had an airplane that had a deferred autopilot, and we had to do manual flying all day long, which sucked. But that's why I was captain, made the FO fly. No, I just made him fly the long leg. I flew the short leg. But yeah, I've had an aircraft where the autopilot was deferred. What we'll do typically, too, is we'll get a block altitude, you know, maybe between, 28 and 30, just so you have a little buffer. I don't remember where we were. It was on an Embraer, so I think it was pretty low. I think we had a block altitude between 26 and 28 or something like that, 2,000 foot. All right, we can go ahead and retract you. I know you're barking at me. All right, well, select heading, turn left, heading 130. Reduce speed 180 knots, guys. When you're turning base, self-vectoring yourself like this, go straight to 180 knots. I'm going to go into nav arc mode here real quick, just so we can see. So there's days. We'll go ahead and continue that left turn heading 090. IPKQ 110.3, that is auto-tuned. MDA 763 is in the glass. Flaps 1. There they come. Beautiful. I'll go back into arc mode. And United 315. Turn left. Oops. Scroll killing me here. Turn left, heading 050, maintain 3000, tel established, cleared ILS, 35 center approach. 3 to establish, 050 on the heading, cleared ILS, 35 center approach. United 315. So we're cleared approach, we're going AP2, autopilot 2, flaps 2. Oh, there, Toliss. Flaps 2, looking good. All right, let me get my screen set up here. That looks good. We'll join on a shallower heading. Let's come 030. Gosh, I hate that mouse scroll. I need to get that mod. There was a Lua mod. It's like stop zooming. All right, there's our localizer. Our slope is up. We're cleared approach. We're probably in the ice. Should have turned these on a long time ago. What do we got? Yeah, definitely should have had engine and ice a long time ago. Matter of fact, I don't know if we're getting ice right now, but I'm going to go ahead and simulate that we are. We'll get the wing heats on. I have a feeling she's not going to want to capture this localizer because Toliss. We'll see. Waiting for the loc to come alive here. Oh, it did capture. Alright. Check right corner is way off. Clear P-pause. I don't want to select heading track first. Alright, whatever. We'll let it be for now. Alright, we're clear to approach 3,000 feet. Localizer is alive. Loc Star, it is captured. 180 knots, 2,000 feet. AGL, we're looking beautiful. Man, there's nothing to see outside, is there? Did I activate the approach phase? I'll make sure we are activated. Confirm. Activate. Confirm. I don't like what this box is doing. There we go. Now I got days in the top right. Alright, that looks good. Heats are on, everything is in. United 315, Fort Worth Tower, clear to land, 35 center. Clear to land, 35 center, United 315. Alright, we're clear to land, 35 center. Just waiting on that glide slope to come down. It's another flyby. Mm-hmm. I love the little 319. Just looks pretty cool to me. Little baby bus. Alright, the glide slope is alive. Rose Jackson says, thanks for the birthday wishes. Hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good B-Day, and you do After Dark now? Yeah, I have a, for members of the channel, I do a little podcast series for them. We kind of talk about Airbus things. I talk about one thing I like that the Boeing does that the Airbus does not do, and one thing that the Airbus does that the Boeing does. And I talk a little bit about the Toliss airplane and the Flight Factor airplane. I then do a little bit of safety talk for all of my guys out there that are real pilots. And then I tell one story of some situation that was scary or funny that's happened to me in my career. And that's for my members on the channel. So if you're interested in a thing like that, that's on the V1 After Dark podcast series. All right, there we go. Glide slope star. Going altitude is set. We have 3,000 blue. Let's hand fly this ILS. What do you guys say? Autopilot's coming off. Manage speed. Gear down. Jobs 2100. Check. VFE next minus 10. Flaps 3. Cabin ready. There's the final approach fix. We'll kill the wing heats. VFE next minus 10. Flaps full. Landing checklist. Cabin crew advised. Auto thrust. It is in speed mode. ECAM memo. Landing all green. A landing checklist complete. Alright, Toliss. I really hope this Cat 1 Min's down there. I should have probably pulled up the ATIS again. We're on the slope, we're on speed, everything is looking good. Oop, got a little high there, that engine surge got me. 22 knot quartering headwind, that's always fun. There she is. Runway's in sight, a landing. Look at that, right on the center line. It's almost like I've done this before. Home sweet home. We're below 1,000 feet stable, clear to land. This bird needs to go to the maintenance hangar for sure. We should just make a right turn, go to the big old maintenance hangar over here. That's for American, that's not for United. I don't even think United has a maintenance hangar. Oh, down here. There's the marker.
50, 40, 30. Retard, check. 5.
We're down. Reversers. Spoilers, reverse green manual brakes. That one was a little bit firm. But hey, for a 22, not crosswind, I'll take it. "57 feet above the threshold. 70 knots. Stow the buckets. Welcome to DFW, folks. We'll take the high speed here, Mike 2. I think this is under construction right now. -1 meters per second, 1.1 G, 57 feet above the threshold. United 315, you're clear to cross 17 left, taxi to the gate via Kilo. Alright, via Kilo, United 315, we'll do it. We'll keep everything on. We're not going to change configuration of the aircraft until we cross 35 left. I'll be interested to, I'm going to start the chrono as well, to see that touchdown. I was trying to get, it's a thing with X-Plane, and this is something that I really am looking forward to testing in Microsoft 2020, is the crosswind. We all know that the ground handling on the ground is really not very good in X-Plane. It seems to be too dramatic. But the crosswind control in X-Plane 2 is a little bit funky. Like, I was going left aileron, I was trying to get some more lateral movement to the left to kind of bring the main trucks over the center line, and I couldn't really get it. I had quite a bit of aileron deflection in there. I didn't want to go any more for fear of getting too close and, you know, striking a wingtip or something. So I want to look at that landing again. We'll dissect it. I'm pretty hard on myself anyway. So we got that. We can kill the strobes, reconfiguring that. Ice can come off. Welcome to my hometown, folks. Dimitri says, "Are you sure you're not a real-life pilot?" Yeah, I don't know, man. I had one guy comment on one of my streams. I don't know if he was just joking or what, but he's like, "Good stream and all, but I don't think you are a real pilot." I was like, "Yep, you caught me." Beautiful. Simnation, is there a limit on the speed brake extension? No, there's not. If they are extended when they're not supposed to be extended, you're going to get an amber speed brake warning out here. That just means, hey, dummy, I'm adding thrust to speed up, and you have the speed brakes out. Basically telling you to retract the speed brakes. Now, if you accidentally leave them out, they will automatically retract, and then it will ding at you with an e-cam and say ding, and actually pop up a master caution and say speed brake. If you have a jip whiz or a ground proximity warning go off, and you have the speed brakes out, and you go toga thrust, the speed brakes will automatically retract. That was the change that happened after the Cali-Columbia 757 for American Airlines crashed in the side of a mountain. They almost cleared it, but they had full speed brakes out. Had they retracted the speed brakes, they would have survived. So, Boeing did not have that implemented on their 757. Oop, I think I missed our turn in. We're going to take spot 44 to the ramp. That looks awfully close to my wingtip over there. No, I guess we're good. Beautiful. MD80 over there. Man, after seeing XP's MD80 stream, kind of having an itch to get back in the Rotate Sim MD80. It's a handful. We'll make the next left over here into the gate. Alright, I see all that. We'll go ahead and kill this. What we got? We got 3 minutes. Yellow electric pump is on. Kill 2. FSX Nerd became a commercial pilot to the channel. FSX Nerd, thank you so much, my friend. Get my members to the channel, give him a nice warm welcome with some positive rate emojis. FSX Nerd, thank you so much for joining the channel, my friend. Like I was saying earlier, there is some members-only exclusive content. Make sure you check it out here, the V1 After Dark podcast series, as well as syncing your YouTube to your Discord. You gain access to the V1 After Dark channel. Now, like I've probably missed it since the beginning of the stream, it has been quite some time. I've been super busy this month, so I've been a little bit quiet, but normally I'm a lot more active in there. So bear with me as we get through the rest of the holiday season. And we should have some good times ahead for sure. We got our pumps off. That looks good. We'll go ahead and get the bleed on. Engine's off. Seatbelt sign is off. Waiting for 5% N1, which it's already down. So we go ahead and kill the beacon light. And I believe the doors will open up, but I don't want them to. So, stop it. Let's take a look at that replay. I'll disable my real view here. And replay mode it is. All right, I'll get back to some of the comments here too as we do this replay. Get this set up for you. Not much to see on the way in, that's for sure. I love how the Toliss, during a replay, look at this, it gives you your indicated speed. It shows you what was happening on your PFD, which I like that. In case you, for you guys out there studying, really trying to perfect your skills, being able to use the replay mode is good. It's even better to use replay mode when you can see what you did. Well, let's go ahead and watch it from this wing view here first. Phantom 320. Hey, Phantom 320 in the house. How's it going, my friend? I was blaming you earlier for not starting the chrono when we took off out of Denver. You said, don't feel bad. I don't think crosswinds and X-plane feel accurate at all. That's kind of what I was thinking, man. It makes me feel better, too. Carl says I don't use proper crosswind inputs because it isn't modeled right, in my opinion. Yeah, it kind of felt that way. This was kind of the first time that I really was messing around with that crosswind. I just could not get the lateral movement back to the left, but Dimitri says you can set active sky XP to produce proper crosswind handling, then rely on default X-plane. Really? I did not know that. That's cool. Look at the aileron deflection there. Oh yeah, we hit down a little hard for sure. I might have to put that one on the Phantom 320. We'll have to take another look at that. While the passengers deplane, I'm just going to go ahead and run up, grab a coffee, and let Phantom say goodbye to everybody. Let's go from the engine view here. SimNation says, thank you, V1. Nice explanation, great information. Awesome. Glad I can help, my friend. Lauren says, V1, have you heard Boeing canceled the 737 MAX? I have not heard that yet. I knew it was an option. I don't know if it actually happened. If it did, that's pretty crazy. I'm sure I'm going to hear about it from all my friends here, if that really is the case. That's kind of crazy. That whole debacle is insane. Is it possible to fully roll an Airbus? Yes, you can do it. You got to be going about 400 knots, so. Not too bad. I like seeing that wing rock in there. Let's come back. Ooh, well, I'm all on that wing. Here we go. Let's see this one. Let's hear that reverser sound as it pops out. Then we'll do some outside views. Dimitri says, another one in the vault. Looking forward to the next one. Yes, sir, Dimitri. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. There we go. Oh. Man, that reverse thrust, though, rumbles my soul. I love it. Alright, let's look at a couple of these outside shots. That should be good enough. Alright, let's go runway view. Nope. Little crab. Let's see what happened here. So there's my aileron. I just cannot get any movement to the left, and then we plop down. Ouch! Yeah, I could not get the aircraft back on centerline. You can see I'm trying to. Just did not want to happen. Then we hit down kind of firm there for sure. Alright guys, let's back it up. Get our tunes on here. Jeremy Harvey says, glad to catch the end of the stream. Just got home for the break. Straight A's. Awesome, man. Cumulative 4.0. One more to go for my masters. Jeremy, awesome job, my friend. Glad to hear it. Everyone else who tuned in to the stream, I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the donations out there, guys. Thank you for all the new members to the channel. Really enjoy having you on board the V1 Simulations community. Everyone else, thanks for hanging out and chatting with me. I love you guys just as much as everybody else. It's been a fun one. I hope you all learned something. And I'll be catching you guys here very soon on the next one. So until then, friends, hope you have a blessed day wherever you're watching from. And I will see you next time. See ya!